Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting firm Riderflex. If you enjoyed today's guest interview, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to the Riderflex podcast. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
So what's the temperature in Dallas today? 110 or what's the
No, it's in the 80s. It's cloudy. Sun came out for a few minutes, but I think we're past the crazy 110 plus for the year, hopefully. So it's nice. This is 85 and cloudy. I think that's currently what we've got. So it's beautiful.
80
We needed a
degrees.
break.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We got a break last week. We got a year's worth or season's worth of rain in 24 hours. So there was a day, I think last Thursday, that just came down. We got over 9 inches, I think, in Dallas. So in one day.
Probably needed it though, right?
For sure. Things are coming back, the lawns and stuff like that, showing green a little bit again instead of just brown. So things are good.
I lived in Dallas, Fort Worth from, 95. I lived southwest of Fort Worth. What's that town called? Starts with a B. I'm Burlington. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, lived there from 95 to 99. Yeah, it's hot in the summer, bro.
It's hot. I'm Lothian. I'm about 30 minutes south of downtown Dallas. So it's great. We've got still sort of nature around us, bigger area, less populated, less densely populated, I should say. And it's still close to the city, close to the office, and everything is good out here. So
whereabouts is that? What area is that?
So Midlothian is in Ellis County, and it's if you take it's a tollway now, mostly 360, and take south through Arlington into Mansfield. Okay. And next to Mansfield, sort of, if you take then 287, you start going east, sort of southeast from Mansfield. That's Midlothian is the next city over. So, gotcha. And then the next one after that is Waxahachie. You can shoot up straight 35, go back to Dallas.
Last time I drove through Dallas, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 years ago, I was just like, wow, it's massive. It's massive, right? Unbelievable.
It's huge by area. It's growing a lot. We moved here from Chicago 10 years ago. So, 10 years ago when things were sort of slow still, real estate wise, growth wise in the Midwest, things had never slowed down here from, that 2008 Great Recession that we had. So we moved here and it was just booming. New builds and
still
growing.
Is.
It still is. Yeah.
Man, you got all those people from California moving to Texas.
For sure. I mean, we have all the transplants. I was one of them 10 years ago. So we're taking them all. The more, the better. We have space. Good stuff.
Speaking of Illinois, tell us a little bit about the early life, the family, mom, dad, siblings. Give me some background if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I'll even take you back before Illinois. I was actually born in Lithuania. So I came to the States when I was 14 years old, landed in Illinois, in Chicago.
Oh.
So my mom and my dad divorced, and my mom raised me on her own since I was 3. She came to the States in 93, typical sort of first generation immigrant story. She was cleaning homes and got a job, saved some money, and I was able to come 2 years later.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So
She moved over 2 years. Who took care of you? Grandparents?
my grandparents, yeah, her parents, my grandma, grandpa stayed with them for 2 years, and
Wow.
um, yeah, so that's how I came to Illinois. Went to high school there, went to college near there, and moved to Texas in 2012 with my family, my wife and 2 kids.
So
So
yeah, let me ask you about your mom's situation there a little bit. Do you still have I guess you still have family in Lithuania, right? I'm assuming.
only my grandma, only my grandma. So my my dad passed away 7 years ago. My grandpa passed away 6 years ago from my mom's side, and my grandma's the only one remaining. So you know, we frequent, um, and we go there quite a bit to, you know, spend time with her, hang out with her, take care of her as much as we can. She's been
She
here. She doesn't want to live here, but she, you know,
huh,
that's her home there. Still in the same home that I grew up in, the same home that my parents grew up in, you know, my mom grew up in. So that home will stay with us, with the family. And I've taken my kids there now 4 or 5 times. We go and spend summers there, and my wife and kids. So we really enjoy going back, and um, you know, my family loves going out there, and so, you know, we
very
like it.
very cool. How old is your grandmother?
She is going to be 85 this November.
It's tough to tell 85-year-olds what to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, she doesn't care for it. No English, and different country, different culture, and different friends and all that. And yeah, I would not be moving across the world to, no matter how much I love my kids and grandparents or grandkids, you know, when I'm 85,
Yeah.
I'm not looking to make a transcontinental change.
My dad passed away a little over a year ago, but you know, when he was in his after like 75 to 80 and in the mid 80s, you know, my brother would be like, "You need to call dad and tell him to do this and tell him to do that." And I was like, "Yeah, okay. Y- Good luck."
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not
uh,
happening.
no. So you were the only kid then, just only child?
Only child. I have a half brother and a half sister. So
Okay.
both my mom and my dad remarried.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
my I have a half sister. She, from my dad's side, so we stay in touch. We're close. She actually lives in Germany.
Okay.
And then my half brother lives in Chicago. He was born in Chicago. He's 14 years younger. So my mom was pregnant when I came.
Oh,
And he
I
was
see.
born in 90
I see.
96. Yeah.
Is she still married to that guy or no?
My mom actually passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So yeah, my mom passed away 4 years after I came here. So she suddenly had a brain tumor and a brain cancer, that she wasn't able to beat. So she passed away in 2000.
When you were
Uh,
18, is this when you were a senior in high school or a freshman in college?
Freshman in college. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Did you okay. Wow. All right. You left. Yeah, that's tough. So you went away to school. I mean, so what were you living on campus, like in the dorms? Your mom calls you and man, I bet that was traumatic. Holy cow.
Well, it started when I was a sophomore in,
Oh,
sorry, a sophomore in high school.
mm, I see. That's when she was
She,
diagnosed.
yes, that's when she had her first surgery, and then, you know, fight it, try to beat it. We thought she overcame it, but she did
Man.
not. Had a couple more surgeries, and
Oof.
so she started battling that in 90 98, and then for 2 years it was okay, and then came back strong in 2000. And so, yeah, you know, that taught me a lot. I would say that that experience didn't. It was tougher at a time, but I was looking at a long picture, that there was nothing that was going to deter me from being successful. The opportunity that I was given, it was definitely difficult, but I understood the task in front. Um, and
Good.
But yeah, but freshman year in college was when she finally passed. Unfortunately, I had a really good support system in school. I ran track and cross country. I was part of a phenomenal program at North Central College in Naperville, Illinois. It's coaching staff, former alumni, teammates, all the support that a person could ask for at that moment in time was there for me. So I really had no excuses to not do what I wanted to do. So it was tough on the individual side, but yes, I lived on campus. People invited me for holidays to their home, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff like that. So I was always involved. I was always part of someone's family. But it's a typical, look back on it now, it's a typical first generation immigrant story that people have to come in and fight and claw. But this
Right.
country provides an opportunity, so it's always out there. If you look for it, if you fight for it, it'll be okay. So it all worked out.
When you hear millennials, I'll pick on millennials. When you hear young people, especially in this country, complain about the United States, are you like, what are you talking
No,
about? What?
no. If you find things to complain about, you need to start zooming out. That's sort of, for me, what I would say is take a plane ride, look out the window,
Yeah.
right? There's no bombs flying. Electricity is on. When you land, there's food, safety,
Water, fresh water.
water. You go home and you go to bed and you have a safe shelter. So life is good. If you are complaining about who's in power, you're giving them too much power, because really they don't have that much control over your destiny. If this country will allow you to do what you want to do, if you start zooming in and listening to macro influencers, micro influencers, whoever, you'll start feeling sorry for yourself and find excuses why things aren't working for you. But if you push through, things are fine. There's opportunity here for everybody.
I couldn't agree more. Recently talked to an executive that, our day job as a recruiting firm, right? So we're always talking to candidates, and this guy lived in Jamaica for the last several years. And he said, man, he's like, I'm just trying to get back to the States. He's like, I just want food on the grocery shelves, fresh water when I turn on the faucet, electricity to work every time, like just basics. He was saying, I just want the basics. And he's like, so many people take that for granted. It's so true.
Exactly.
Are you, I don't want to go into a full-blown political discussion, but I have to ask this because you live so, your family was so close to the Ukraine and all that, and the Russia thing. I mean, is that like, how does your grandmother feel? Like, does she feel safe? Does she feel unsafe? Does she feel like, Putin's going to invade Lithuania? Like, what? I'm just wondering how does she feel over there right now? Just curious.
Yeah. So we were just there this summer with my family, and we got an opportunity to take in the whole culture, right? Since the war started in Ukraine. So, the beautiful thing is, I would say that the advantage that Lithuania has had since they, claimed independence in '91 from the Soviet Union was that regardless of who was in power, and I'm not, well tuned who, what parties, but they had non-negotiable goals, and it was to get rid of corruption, to meet all the EU and NATO standards and join them. And it took them, 13 years to do that. But in 2004, they joined NATO, and shortly after European Union. So now they're protected by NATO and by EU, and therefore by United States. And so the feeling there now is we're fine. Life is as usual. You wouldn't notice a difference if you're in Belgium, Germany. Yes, there's conversation. It's a constant front. I would say that, Lithuanians are proud heritage. Their flags flying daily, regardless of national holiday or not. They're just proud people. But now there are equal amounts of Ukrainian flags flying in that country, showing support and taking refugees and giving them jobs. And so the war and the conversations, and we're working through Old Town in Vilnius and saw the benefit concert for Ukrainians. And so there's it's always on the front end, but it's in the supportive mode of, we're going to help Ukrainians because we've been there and we've had to live through that. So when I was a kid in 91, nothing to the scale that Ukraine is going through, but when we were trying to gain independence, there were tanks rolling through our streets. There were Russians taking over our media, people dying underneath, the tanks to protect the freedom. We didn't have guns. We had people.
Mm.
So at that moment in time, we didn't have an army. We didn't have support from external countries as we're fighting for independence, but people stood shoulder to shoulder. 300,000 people just around let's say the national parliament building, try to protect the government that was established, right?
Wow.
So they dared them to run them over with tanks, literally, and go take over the government. So, and that's what saved the institutions and the
Wow.
government in the long run. But if you look it up on YouTube and, January 1991 Lithuania, you'll find a lot of interesting things. And when I play that back now, when this war started in February of this year, it's verbatim.
Mm.
It is, the same messaging, the same, pretext that Russians claim to have for invading Ukraine. It's the same pretext that they had for Lithuania. And we just, I think, the history has already shown us that can happen again. We just didn't take it seriously enough.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
but now I think it's fine for Lithuanians itself. We just want to make sure that we can do our part to help Ukraine.
If I talk to a Russian young business owner like you that lives in Moscow, lived there his whole life, is he saying, hey man, this was part of the Soviet Union. This is our stuff anyway. We're trying to get this back. Like, this is supposed to be ours. Is that how he responds? I'm just curious.
I honestly don't know. I'm a little worried about that response because the information there is just one dimensional and limited.
I see.
And so I can see how, the perception is formed, and, we can go off tangents and how even our perception is formed based on what we hear and what we see.
Oh, no doubt.
But to sort of say it was always ours, it wasn't always theirs. They occupied it for 50 years only. It was
That's
from
true.
1941 to 1991. If you
Right.
look at history books,
Yeah.
Lithuania was independent and, fighting for its own existence since the 11th century. So for 50 years in the modern times, yes,
Okay.
they occupied. It wasn't voluntary.
Gotcha.
So that's not a pretext in my mind.
Gotcha. That's good. Good history lesson right there for a lot of folks listening. Thank you for sharing that very much. Okay. So when you first came over at 14, did you speak English or no?
I did not. No,
Ooh,
I
holy
did
cow.
not.
Wow. Okay. Holy, were the kids picking on you in high school? Like, oh, this is the Russian kid, and they're giving you a hard time, bunch of shit like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I went to school. I went to Maine East High School in Park Ridge, which is a beautiful place because it had, I forget, probably 60 first generation immigrants in
Oh,
that school.
okay.
So when you first walked in, there was a case of little flags of each country
Oh,
that each student was, at least one student was from at that time in the school. And there must have been 60. And
that's cool.
it's Polish and it's Indian and it's Korean and it's, Lithuanian and it's Russian. And so there was so much, and there's Americans, so much mixture and culture, that it was a beautiful place for me to sort of
Ah,
adapt to and understand and really learn about many different cultures. And, kids dated cross culturally all the time. There were no
cool.
territorial things. It was beautiful. Um,
That's great.
so I was really lucky to be in that environment. So I wasn't alone, although I was alone from Lithuania, but sort of the setting was perfect for me. Yeah, it
Kudos
was
to your
good.
mom to your mom for putting you in that school, right? A great move. Great move.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we lived right near Chicago in Park Ridge. And that's where I went to school. And, she definitely found that school district and it was perfect. So it was great.
Okay, very good. How did you decide to go to school, or how did you decide where to go to school and what to major in? How'd that happen? Or did you not even know when you were a freshman? You're like, I don't know, I'm just going to college to have fun. Talk to me about it.
So I was a runner, track cross country, and my first pick was based on what school wanted me for running, and
I
then
got you.
see if that fit for me academically. I knew what I couldn't be, but I literally picked up a brochure and looked at and says, what pays the best starting salary? And I picked I picked IT programming at that time, and I took one
Oh,
class in college. I think it was, C++ programming 101, and I almost failed it, and I said, I'm out. So I switched my aspirations for a major quickly after that. It wasn't about money, but it was more about what I was interested in and was good at.
that's so funny. We have something similar there in common. My first major was accounting, and I had this young lady that I was friends with, and she had all the tests for accounting one, and so I never had to study because I had all the tests. So basically, I cheated my way all the way through accounting one. Then accounting two came. The next semester, I was like, "Oh shit, okay, yeah, I don't know anything." So I had to switch to communications.
Exactly. Yep. Got to
What
change up.
what division? North Central College when you ran there. What is what division are they?
NCAA Division III.
Okay, great, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, so private school, Division three, private are very expensive, right? I'm pretty expensive.
very expensive. Yeah, and there's no athletic scholarships, so it was all
Right.
academic based, and I did
Right.
not have a nest egg behind me to support that. So
Ooh.
it was all academic, and then the rest of it I worked all the way through high school and college to support myself.
Re
And
restaurants were all kinds of stuff?
No, I just worked actually at Office Max stores. I got that job at an Office Max store junior year in high school, and I stayed with them, just transferred stores from Park Ridge or from Morton Grove to Naperville, and I worked there while I ran and went to school. So I worked almost full time.
Wow, okay. You came out of school with some debt, I'm assuming.
A little bit. Um, Actually, I would say no debt. I would say
Real
I came
really?
out with just a couple $1,000. It
What?
was
What?
it
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was really a beautiful story. And again, that support system that was at North Central, alumni, people, a person after meeting me for 30 minutes invited me to live with him senior year to save money on room and board with his family so
Oh,
I could
oh,
save money. So
I
things
see.
like that place is special. And I try to give back as much as I can now. But it really allowed me to, kind of see the potential of, human support, both sort
Yes.
of emotionally and, financially from all angles, and it never stopped coming. So,
That's
um,
so that is
yeah,
an
really
okay,
cool spot.
that is great stuff. Did you run all 4 years?
I did, yep. Ran,
Wow.
and the school there, on paper looks Division III. That school has won more than 30 national championships in track and cross country. It competed against D2, D1, and beat and held its own. Went to all the biggest, college track meets, cross country meets at Notre Dame, University of Illinois, others, and you know, some Division I schools will not want to run against us because it hurt their ratings. If they lost against Division III,
So
we
good.
went to a track meet. I remember at University of Illinois, and it did not score any of our guys from in the results because that would look bad on
How about that?
paper.
How about that?
So we took pride in that. So all the
So
guys that went to that school knew the history. They went there to run. They were scrappers, and they were people that were not getting full rides to go to D1 schools and went there to show what they're really worth, and
how
it
about
worked
that?
out.
Were
Yeah.
you, when you first got there, coming out of high school, I'm assuming you were top of the you were, highly ranked, kicking everybody's ass probably on a regular basis. When you got to college, were you like, "Oh shit, everybody here is good."
Yeah. Yeah, I went from being, a top, I ran and competed at the state finals in the mile, in track in high school, to being like, the seventh best guy on my team.
Uh,
So, had had to really step up quickly. And, like when you're in that environment, you either sink or swim, and you kind of learn through osmosis what hard work is, what even next level work is, and how to balance all of that. But again, it's not a dog eat dog world in that program. It is all about support, and it's all about making your teammate better. It's an individual sport, but Coach Al Carius and Frank Grammaroso, both coaches, 40, 50 years at that school, did a phenomenal job raising generations of young men that were great people beyond just athletes. That culture worked. That support system worked. The proof was in the pudding. When you came there, you just had to fit that mold and work as hard as you can, and the results came. Whether it was for you or for your teammates or for the unit, and kind of lifted everybody together. So it was a good environment to be and lose yourself in. Outside of class.
So many people that I have recruited over the years that played college athletics of any kind at any division, they speak like you do. That's why when I'm recruiting somebody, if I see that they, did 4 years of college athletics, I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to talk to that person, because
Yeah.
they're team oriented, they're coachable, they have very high work ethic, they're very organized, just all of it, right? Because they had to do that to be part. I mean, to play college athletics and work. So
Yeah.
you're going to school, you're working the job, you're running track. I just know, as a recruiter and a 55-year-old guy, that takes a lot of commitment, determination, and organization to be able to do that. That's why I'm always attracted to those profiles. Then I meet candidates sometimes, and they don't have that on their LinkedIn profile. And I'm always like, what are you doing? Like, what?
Actually, yeah, that I'll admit I don't have that on my profile, so I need to fix it.
No, it's on there. No. You
Is
have.
it?
So,
Is it on
yeah.
there?
Yeah. You have cross country on here. Yeah. You
Okay.
do. Yeah, you do. You probably could put more of the accolades on there, I'm sure, but you do have it listed. So anyway, yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on coming to the US, didn't know English, adapted somehow, maneuvered your way through, made good grades, got into school, then ran track for 4 years while you were working at Office Max. I mean, come on, man. That's pretty good. Did you meet your wife at Office Max or on the track field?
Actually, so after working at Office Max stores, they gave me an opportunity to go to work at corporate. So I went and met her at corporate at Office Max. Yeah. So
Oh, she was, what happened? You walked by a cubicle or whatever, and you're like, oh, hey, what's your name?
I heard the heels, and I had to look up over my cubicle, and and the rest is history. So
Yeah, you're like, hey, do you like kids with
no, she
accents?
said,
Do you like
yeah,
young, good looking
exactly.
guys with accents? I mean, come on, man.
Well, she was from Texas, so she had the accent, and then I had my
Ah.
accent, and then she sat outside of my boss's office, so it was convenient. So yeah, it was. She
That's
was a
good.
runner as well, just
Oh,
kind of running a little bit.
all right.
We had a running club at Office Max. Our
All
CEO ran and all that stuff, so we had put together some
right.
relay teams and had some fun. And she joined, and that was a good in for me to talk to Carrie. So it was great.
When you were in college, did your accent help you pick up a bunch of chicks? I'm sure it did, didn't it? I mean, come on, you can admit it.
I didn't really have time for chicks, honestly.
I,
It was just like business time all the time, and I knew exactly like when I will be able to fit a nap in, like 5 days in advance. Like I'm gonna have 15 minutes after this class before I have to be at work to
now
get
see,
a nap. So
that goes back all the way to the behavior traits that I talked about to make it through playing sports and doing all that stuff. That's why, see, somebody like you're having trouble with Zoom, you're trying to get logged in a minute before, right? Like a minute,
yeah,
30 seconds before the time is supposed, and you're hitting me saying, hey, bro, I'm trying to get logged in. See, it's little traits like that that go all the way back to that super hyper organized young man that made it through all that. I love that. Okay. So, all right. So you met your, how long did you date before you got married?
we dated. Gosh, we dated 2 years before we
Okay.
got married. Oh, wait. No, we waited a year. We 2 years or 2 years from the start of our dating, 2.5 years, we had our first born. So
Okay.
um
Okay.
We dated, we started dating in April 2008, got married in October 2009. Our daughter was born in November 2010.
And then what happened? She said, "I want to be around family. We're moving to Dallas," or did you get the job at Mega Brands? Like which one came first?
Yeah, no. So I had a job at Mega Brands. I left Office Max in 2011. We had our son. She was pregnant with our son, and he was born in June of 2012. And having two kids that were 18 months apart in Chicago, I don't really have a family support system there. She had the job at Office Max still. And my job was in, national account manager, so I can just work from anywhere. So they allowed me to move to Dallas. And
I see.
the trigger point was when I had to write a daycare check for two kids that was greater than my mortgage in Chicago. Literally, the
Uh,
state was in the front lawn in 24 hours, and Texas was more affordable and better in the family support system and all that. So, and we've been here since.
First summer in Texas where you're like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. This is freaking hot."
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, first summer in Texas. But all the things she did a really good job recruiting me to move to Texas, and I'm never moving if I can
Yeah,
help
I
it.
mean, hey, it's a great
It's
it's a
awesome.
great. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I grew up in Oklahoma, but I lived in Dallas and I lived in Austin for 3 or 4 years. So I'm a huge fan. I just wish you could eliminate June, July, and August.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have seasons. We just have like summer and not summer. And the not summer is just
Right, right. Yeah,
50,
yeah.
and,
That's exactly right.
and then summer is
Are you
100.
full blown Texas acclimated? Do you hunt? Do you fish? Do you do all the Texas guy things now, or what? I'm just curious.
No, no hunting, no fishing. My brother-in-law's fish. Nobody really hunts in our family.
Okay.
Distant family from my wife's side does, but I uh, I also don't run anymore. I just had a health, wearing out my hips type of thing.
Oh
But I
boy.
picked up racing with bicycles, so I race bikes now, and
Oh,
been racing that 3, 4 years. And I'm a competitive guy. Always want to sweat and have trouble breathing voluntarily. So that's what gets me,
oh.
high, so to speak. So
Yeah, it's great.
I race bikes.
That's very good. You look like you're in great shape, by the way. Is your wife, is she still active as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. She does her own thing every single day on the Peloton and yoga and strength work, and got a
Good for you.
little, COVID forced us to make one of the bedrooms into a gym.
And
So we use that every day.
how old are your kids now?
My daughter is going to be 12 in a couple of months, and my son
Oh,
is 10. So I have a sixth grader and a fifth grader.
oh, it's right before the teenage years start. You have a little time left before it gets crazy.
I'm still the cool dad. I'm still holding on to it,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
not
yeah.
publicly, in front of her friends, it's already arm lengths away, but when we're just family, she's still my kid. So hopefully that stays.
I don't want to scare you, but daughters between 13 and 17, they can be tough.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you. I mean, I mean, teenagers in general, but anyway, no, it's good. You're enjoying the. I always used to say from like 4 to 11 is a magical time. That right in
Sweet
there.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
After
I'm
that.
enjoying it now. Yeah. She started junior high this year. So it's new school, new friends, new kids. And
Yeah.
I can see that for sure.
Okay. So life is going good. You're married. You got the great education. You're had a couple of good jobs. Do you have this? I mean, then you went to U Brands, by the way, for almost 7 years as VP. Did you have this entrepreneurial bug? Like, was it in there the whole time? Like, someday I'm going to start my own thing, or how did that develop?
It never really, I never looked at myself as that entrepreneur or a risk taker. I was the one that, I think it, you know, for me, it was the person that wanted a stable job and a stable support system by by a good company.
Okay.
And then it was just sort of an obvious thing that I needed to do because it was so evident that this was going to work, that if I didn't do it, it would just be a miss and a regret for the rest of my life. And I didn't do it alone. Um, but I always tell people, it's like when you meet that person, when you meet your wife, your significant other that you want to marry, and you're just trying to not screw it up because you know that's the person. There's just like, okay, let me just get. We went on a date. I know I can spend my life with this person, and that's what you start building experiences and trust, and leading up to hopefully proposal, marriage, kids, and all that. Same thing happened here. Was you see an opportunity? I just need to get it done. I want to make sure I don't screw it up. And there were two other guys I had met in while I was at Office Max. They were my vendor from Mega Brands,
Okay.
Ben Hawk and Mike Cirillo. They recruited me to come work for them at Mega Brands. And then they left Mega Brands in January of 2014. And I had this idea for VASO, for a rep agency. I went to them and I said, "Hey, I have this idea. What do you think?" They had already built and sold a business once to Mega Brands.
See.
They built Board Dudes and sold to Mega Brands, and I wanted someone in my corner that
Yes.
could guide me through it, and
Mm,
that I could talk to someone
good
about.
move.
So
Good move.
simultaneously, they were starting U brands, and they said, "Hey, can you come and help us build this business?" So I was
Ah,
working both
I
on
see.
U brands and Vaso at the same time for a few years,
I see.
um, doing sales as a VP of sales at U brands, and also starting to slowly build Vaso at the same time. So the three of us were always, and to this day, are still intertwined
Mm,
together. When Smead bought U Brands in 2017, I left that role to focus full time on Vaso.
okay.
Um, but the three of us are still partners in Vaso. They don't do anything day to day. I've run that business sort of since day one, but all three of us are owners
Mhm.
together, and we've had a great partnership. So they've been, mentors. Um, you know, just sometimes, just speaking of, hey, what should we do in this scenario? They've been there, done that. The further we grow, the less I'm reliant on it, but we all sort of are growing at the same pace and are learning new things as we go. None of us have built an agency before, so this is new, but we're able to figure things out together.
So they're still on the cap table. They're still equity holders, but I don't know how much you want to share, but are you in charge, so to speak, with majority ownership, or what's the layout of the ownership, or can you share?
I'd rather not share the specifics of the ownership.
Okay.
Just keep that between us. But as far as in charge, all of us weigh each other's opinion equally. It
Okay.
doesn't really matter. We all respect each other. Um, and
Okay.
I run the day to day. They have full trust in me running day to day, and that's been that since day one.
Have
They're
you, all right. Have you
Yeah,
taken on any angel money, PE money, VC stuff, anything, taken on any other outside cash? Nope.
none at all. No, we've all self-grown ourselves.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah,
yeah,
very good. Very good. So you've grown. Can you, and how big is why don't you give us the Vaso overview? Now's a good time. Give us the elevator pitch as it stands today. How, what you guys do, what you specialize in, how big you are. Go for it.
sure. So we've sort of changed in how we define ourselves over the last 7-8 years. We first, started as a traditional, call it manufacturer's representative, right? The manufacturer's rep firm. That's a traditional model that supports, a vendor that goes and sells to a national retailer. But our mindset was to only be specific to e-commerce and specific to Amazon.com. We wanted to do one thing and one thing really, really well, and not sort of dilute ourselves into brick and mortar and wholesale and other things. So the staff that we hire, the people that we look for, the services that we provide is just e-commerce focused. And that has grown quite a bit since 2014. And we've sort of rebranded ourselves as an e-commerce brand agency instead of manufacturer's rep firm. Yeah, so we have content creators that basically manage everything from the brand store down to photography and videography. We have an in-house studio. We have an in-house photographer and designer. So we basically, in a sense, all we need is a box of samples, and we can take photos, videos, build a beautiful page, make sure it's SEO optimized, market, and have a full strategy. The biggest piece, I think, is that we have account managers that are extremely well versed and experienced in all aspects of the business, understand the whole entire strategy, that help a brand navigate everything from product development all the way through the final sale, including negotiations with vendors, right? Managing price increases, working with Amazon on that, and just acting as a full-time advocate in the brand's corner. And that's a big piece these days with price increases and inflation coming up and all those things. So it's a hot topic for a lot of brands, but we basically, our motto is that we want to take any excuse out of the vendor's vocabulary while they're not successful on Amazon. So that's basically.
Do you target small, medium, large? Who are you targeting? Who's your target client?
Really sort of a medium-sized business, I should say, but we have not, we have not shied away from small or the large, and we have everyone from an inventor, and we typically don't work with inventors, but we have one inventor that has been really successful, easy to work with. He's had tremendous retail background, so it's easy to work with, and hey, we should do this, and he understands it. All the way to someone that trades on New York Stock Exchange. So brands in that spectrum, but our sweet spot, it always is for agencies, is someone where they need expertise, where they need to compete with the alpha dogs in the category, but they can't afford to do so.
Okay.
If you want to compete against Procter and Gamble in the CPG business, and you are starting a shaving company, how do you compete with Gillette? So how do you parse your own path through that? And you need a staff of 10 people. You just can't afford to pay them. You need a copywriter, you need an analyst, you need a marketing person, you need a national account manager, you need a designer. You need all these people, but how do you pay all of them when you're making $0, or when you're making $10,000 a year, or $100,000 a year even in net profit for that brand? So, but while P&G or someone like that is advancing further and further and sort of growing their sales. So that's what sweet spot is we enable small and medium-sized businesses to really be at parity with the alpha dogs.
Even if you have a marketing team, let's say you're a $50 million company and you have a marketing team of 4 or 5 people, you still probably don't have an Amazon e-commerce expert that's going to help you get the price. If you've never done it before, probably so you still need VASO, right? Even if, yeah. Are they bringing you on? Are you a temporary service? Are you hey, Mrs. Client, you're probably going to use us till you get to here. And then when you get to here, do they drop you because now they got all these in-house people? Like, where are you in the lifespan of the company?
We're typically evergreen. We have been able to prove our value and grow with our clients, and our investment in our own business never stops. We always challenge ourselves internally on our side to give a client more for their buck and to stretch that dollar further. So as they grow, for example, nowhere on day one did I think that we would be, I'll give you the most recent example, what we're doing this Friday, shooting a video with a pregnant actress for a product. And then we have to source talent, do makeup, and do all that as an Amazon brand agency. But that's a tangent that we identified and said, hey, if this brand wants to be successful, we need a product video. How do we shoot a product video? We need this kind of person. We don't have one in house. Let's go find talent. Guess what? We have someone that used to work in theater. That's one of our copywriters. They can, they have a way to find that talent. And so all of a sudden we're shooting a product this Friday with makeup and everything else that beyond my knowledge. I just know that we're executing. We have internal staff that knows how to do this. And that's the beauty of it, that we harness all this knowledge from previous experiences. And we got together and say, hey, we can do this ourselves. We just need to get this and this person and this model. And we're doing this for the brand. And we're transparent. And the brand loves it because we do it all in-house. They get direct input of what that looks like. And it's with a specific goal in mind. And it just translates into a finished product that then generates revenue for that brand. So
Sounds to me
we
like,
always challenge ourselves.
Sounds to me like VASO is edging into a full-blown marketing agency that does a lot more. Is there a plan for that, or it's just kind of happening? What are your thoughts there?
We have been naturally pushed towards certain arenas of that whole spectrum, so to speak. So,
Yes.
Content is king and content is evolving. People don't read bullet points anymore. The Amazon algorithm helps you get ranked based on what's written, but that's not how people shop product. So going into, images was definitely critical. And now the static imagery is being overtaken by moving imagery, aka video, and social media posts and engagement. So you always have to evolve with it and how your brand is going to be found and what will separate you from the rest. But yeah, so we are, we're always pushing ourselves not only on that front, but also data analytics and being able to also find information from the raw sources of data and compute that and translate that into trends and opportunities on our own. And not just rely on Amazon export, right? Like we want to be able to see what's around the corner based from the data that we see versus be reactive. So a lot of our investment as an agency is not necessarily even in the work that we do. It's also in the systems that we have behind us that support, software that we purchase, software that we help develop and participate in beta trials for different companies, just to always push the envelope.
Now you're talking about increasing valuation for your company. Really, if you got stuff, the proprietary software that you're creating, now all of a sudden you're a tech company, just a little bit.
It's always a fun part to do things that you know nothing about, but then you always listen to those podcasts and say, hey, I had an idea. I had no idea how to how to do, how to write code. And here we are selling a company for, all those dreams that people have. But for us, it's more about being irreplaceable and really being that partner for the brand, that they need us, that there is no endpoint when they don't need us, that we're going to always evolve to that point.
And that's the magic. That's happy land for a service business if it's evergreen, right? Because most service businesses by definition are temporary to a certain degree, because usually clients are turning you on and off when they need you or don't need you. But if you can figure out a model where you're growing with them and they need you all the time, and you can plug in the tech play there in the background that's building over time, you're really increasing valuation for the company overall, which is fantastic. Real quick, what's the model? Is it do they pay you a flat service fee? Is it based on the product sold? Is it what's the package?
It is based on performance for us. We like to give a peace of mind to the brand that we work with that we will earn our keep. It's not a flat fee. It's based on performance, and we typically make sure it's a good fit for both sides. We want to make sure that we will add value to the brand that we're going to work with, and that they will actually be willing to work with us, listen to our advice, listen to our input, and not just give a one-dimensional direction, because then we're less valuable. We can't really, if they're not implementing what we would suggest with facts behind the scenes, what needs to be done, then really we're not going to earn, what we thought we were going to earn as an agency. So, but if we feel that it's going to be a good partnership, the proof is in the pudding for us. We know we'll be successful. So we're not afraid.
Oh my gosh, what you just said there is so magical. When Scott and I first started Riderflex and we were super tiny, because we have like 30 recruiters working for us now, but back when we first started, we had to put up with clients that were assholes, or they wouldn't listen, or this or that or whatever, and of course we were starving for cash, so we did whatever.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
such a wonderful place to get to as a service business when you can finally go, yeah, that client right there, I don't think we want to work with them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
You
have to
know,
make those decisions sometimes. And a lot of times clients will understand,
yeah,
at the end of the day, clients, they're
yep,
human beings. And a lot of times, unless you're speaking to the owner, um,
yep,
a lot of times they will say, hey, it's just, I understand, just my hands are tied. This is the direction that we're taking. And it's nothing
yeah,
personal, we've never had any sort of, bad breakup, so to
that's
speak.
good.
Like
That's good.
we've been able to keep it cordial. And all of our, most of our clients at some point, existing clients that we work with, have at least tried to refer someone else to us, so
That's
it's
great.
been really rewarding. And a lot of the business that we have gotten over the last 4 or 5 years have been referrals from our existing clients, and then
Wonderful.
from the merchants that we work with at Amazon too. So
Well, congratulations on the business you have built, my friend. How many employees now?
we have 20. We have 20
Not,
employees,
oh, wow.
and yeah,
That's
we're having
nice.
fun.
That's pretty good. Congratulations. I mean, you're in a pretty competitive market, but it sounds like you're continuing to grow the business over time, and you're having fun, and you doesn't sound like you have any debt. Sounds like you're profitable and you're increasing in sales every year. It sounds like things are going well. I mean, I know there's always hurdles, but it sounds like you're having fun building it.
There's definitely challenges. Yeah, thank you for the accolades so far, but we're not done. Definitely having fun. I don't see myself doing anything else. And the good saying, when you have fun every single day, it's not work anymore, right? So
So true.
um,
Yeah, it's so
so
true.
it's just having fun.
By the way, I want to tell you how I shop on Amazon real quick. I want to tell you, this is how I shop. By the way, you're the expert. You're the expert. You can tell me but if you wanted a user feedback, I mean, this is what I do. Is this normal? Tell me if this is normal behavior. Chainsaw. I bought a chainsaw recently. I type in chainsaw, look on the thing. This is what I do right away. I'm like, okay, is there a video? Is there a picture? Is there a lot of reviews on here? High ranking reviews, video. And then it's like Amazon choice or whatever that is. I can't remember. Amazon,
Yeah. Yep.
whatever that tag is. If it's got that tag, it's got a lot of reviews and it's got a video, boom, I buy it. I don't even read anything else. Does that sound
That's it.
normal?
That's exactly the behavior that we would sort of expect from a typical customer today. So
Okay.
thanks for that feedback. Just because we typically strive for that, and content is great. Probably how you found that chainsaw is that the keyword chainsaw was very relative for that product,
Yes. Yeah.
typed in there somewhere, right? But then closing that and making that conversion is definitely what you just mentioned, is content, video, trusting
Do
reviews. And
do men shop like this on Amazon and women are a little more careful?
really, it's hard to separate that out. It can be both ways depending who's shopping on whose account.
Okay. I didn't know if it was
Because
similar, like when my wife and I go to the clothing store or whatever. I'm just like, I just grab a shirt. Like I don't spend a lot of time with it, right? And my wife's
yeah,
analyzing
yeah,
it,
yeah. It'll depend. Amazon shopping behavior is not necessarily how traditional marketers think, which
Oh,
is
okay.
lineal, which is like demographic based, or
I see.
age group based. This
I
is
see.
more Amazon groups their shoppers into behavior bases into behavior verticals, if that makes sense. So this is a group that shops quickly. This is a group that's indecisive. This is a group that browsed in this category but hasn't bought it.
I've
So
seen
when
it.
you're targeting customers, it's not necessarily demographics, it's based on
Ah,
behaviors.
interesting.
So it's slightly different. So you
Interesting.
definitely
Interesting.
fall in the ones we love, the ones that close quickly and we can
Oh
convert and
yeah.
target again. And
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I have a list and I'm just like, bam, 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 bam. Real quick for the listeners, vasogroup.com, VASO, vasogroup.com. Please go there, check them out. You can, I'm sure there's a contact page on there and you can, ask them about, you know, providing service, etc. I'm sure Reggie and his team would be happy to reach out to you. My friend,
Absolutely.
I could, man, I could talk. I have like 50 more questions I could ask you, but we're out of time. So, I appreciate you being on the show. What a wonderful story. I mean, you should think about writing a book, bro. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not, that's not just me blowing smoke. By the way, we're writing a book at Riderflex. It's coming soon, but,
Nice.
you should think about writing a book. That whole thing about, you know, your mom, single parent, moving over here, had to come over here for 2 years and sacrifice and be without you, and then brought you over, and then you learned English, and then she got you in that good school, and then you worked your ass off at Office Max while you're going to school. I mean, pretty damn good story, man. You should think about writing a book, and I need to get you back on the podcast so we can talk more. So,
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for the time, and hopefully this is a little bit of a inside inspiration. I know podcasts are for me when I listen to podcasts like this, so hopefully this provides someone an opportunity to keep fighting. So I appreciate the time, and thanks for inviting us, and thank you for supporting our business when we need some new talent. So I know I need to talk to Tatiana again to find another for us. So thank
thank
you
you,
for what
sir.
you've done as well.
Pre- Appreciate it, Reggie.